You're trying to get me in trouble.
I would never, ever do that. However, this week we do get into some stuff with Christie that he has never, ever publicly spoken of. So it is going to be a fun show. That's right. We are joined by 10-time FLW Tour winner, 8-time Bassmaster winner, 2022 Bassmaster Classic champion, Jason Christie joins me this week on...
I'm Bob Cobb from the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
Pour yourself a cup of eggnog and let's do this. Welcome one, welcome all, friends, family, freeloaders, fishing freaks, and of course you, my humpers. Happy hump day to all of you, and welcome in to the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast that goes by my last name, which is Mercer. This is the 243rd edition of the Mercer Podcast, and I hope wherever you're watching or listening from that life is treating you well. We are smack dab in the middle of the holiday festivities right now around here, and I hope you are. That's why I mentioned the eggnog. Not sure why I mentioned eggnog, because I'm not a big eggnog drinker, to be honest. Let me know in the comments. Are you an eggnog drinker? What is your holiday beverage of choice? Mine is definitely not eggnog. I like my beverages to be a beverage and my meals to be a meal. I feel like eggnog is somewhere in the middle. It's a little thick. But that's just my thoughts. I mean, there's many people that love them some eggnog. But we got a great show for you here this week. And a lot to go over. I literally made notes. I never make notes, but I literally made notes for this show. First of all, great show last week with KVD. Thank you all for watching it. Crazy numbers. I cannot thank you enough. Can't thank Kevin enough for being as open and as honest as he was on a lot of topics. So it made for a great show. But we got another great show here this week. Of course, we got Jason Christie. And he, of course, like the theme of the show, gets awkwardly honest, talks about some stuff he's never talked about before. We talk about his brand new series that he has coming out called the Brown Recliner Series, where he gets very real, very honest. You're going to want to hear that. And it's not just Jason Christie this time around. It is the last show of the season. So we are once again joined by the great and powerful Tommy Sanders, and we will continue a holiday tradition. If you are a longtime viewer of this show, you know what that is. If you are not, stick around to the end. I think you're going to enjoy it. A holiday tradition like no other. But as I said, this is the final show of the 2025 season. We will be taking a 2-week hiatus to enjoy family and friends and everything Christmas. The show will return January 7th, and we got a big show planned for that week. So we don't get any time off around here except for these 2 weeks. So I'm going to shut my computer down and literally enjoy my family, and I would recommend all you guys to do just that. However, if you are on the computer, you may have noticed this past week we started posting Facts of Fishing once again, full length Facts of Fishing episodes on YouTube every Monday at 6 p.m. Put a awesome Chapo Topwater Smallmouth show this past week. Got another show coming this week. So every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, check it out. Tell your friends, tell your family, check it out on YouTube. We're going to continue to upload shows. They're all going to be there. You guys have asked for it, and we are delivering. On top of that, the new season of Facts of Fishing kicks off on Outdoor Channel and Sportsnet 360. That will be kicking off, and here's why I needed notes. December 29th, Outdoor Channel, Monday at 6 a.m., Wednesday at 8 a.m., Thursday at 1 p.m., Sunday at 3 a.m., which is late Saturday. So if you come home stumbling, bumbling, tune in then. And then our kind of anchor airing, our main airing, Sunday at 11 a.m. We will once again be on Sportsnet 360. in Canada, and you can see us there every Sunday at 9 a.m., and that all starts the week of the 29th. So I think it's Sunday the 4th, January 4th, you can see us in Sportsnet 360, and of course on Outdoor Channel. I'll put all the times down below. Make sure to check that out and support that. I would really appreciate it, because I'll be honest, there's a lot of podcasts that kind of step in and step out of the podcast world. This podcast has been going on for 5 years. There's a lot of the time that this podcast has not made any money. And the Facts Fishing TV show basically funds this. So if you like this podcast, make sure to support both on YouTube and, of course, on television, on the Outdoor Channel and Sportsnet 360. Please check it out. I would greatly appreciate that. I got to talk about one topic that is painful to talk about, a lot more painful for number 15 than it is for me. But as you guys know, I am a diehard Chiefs fan, and they're out of the playoffs for the first time in quite some time. And worse than that, Patrick Mahomes was a minute and a half away from potentially holding a clipboard for the last 3 games of the season and getting that much needed rest. If you look at the amount of games that they've played more than anyone else, because they've gone to as many Super Bowls, they've gone to as many conference finals. He was about to get that rest and now blew out his ACL and LCL. I don't know much about that, but what I do know is the recovery's tough. We're hoping to have him back to kick off the season next year. And here's the deal. It's a tough time as a Chiefs fan. Turns out you can't win them all. Boy, they have tried. But I look forward to seeing, there's so many stories. I mean, you look what the Bills are doing, look what Denver's doing, look what Jacksonville's doing, the Bears are doing. I mean, there's just so many stories. You got the Rams who are crazy. Like, I'm excited to watch it as a fan. And I'm going to prove to all of you guys that I'm a good friend, because I'm going to cheer for your teams. I mean, I don't know who's going to win the Super Bowl. I know it's not going to be the Chiefs, but lots of love and a speedy and smooth recovery to Patrick Mahomes, as if he watches this show. I mean, if he did watch this show, that would be wonderful. I don't think he does. But if he does, Patrick, go get him. Can you imagine? Yeah, I'm a big viewer. No, not really. Not really. If I was Patrick Mahomes, I wouldn't watch this show either. But I'm glad that you guys do watch this show. We have a really cool conversation coming up with Jason Christie. And then again, we are joined by Tommy Sanders with a holiday tradition like no other. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. I mean, I've promoted everything. I have talked about the Chiefs, which weirdly enough, you guys like hearing me talk about them now. Nobody complained about me talking about them last week. Any other time while I've been gloating and dancing and doing my greatest Ric Flair impression as I styling and profiling about how great the Chiefs are, nobody wants to hear about them. But it's weird. Now people want to hear about them. Wonder why that's happening. Without further ado, let's travel all the way to Dry Creek, Oklahoma, and hook up with the one and only Jason Christie. Jason Christie, I don't know if this puts more pressure on you or if you even can feel pressure, but this is our last show before Christmas, so this is like the Christmas spectacular.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, I guess that's all up to the viewers, whether it's spectacular or it's just two guys talking before Christmas. But what's Christmas like around your house?
Busy. My kids are for the most part grown, and Shanna's family for the most part's in Missouri, so it's one of those where we travel, for a day, have Christmas, come home, wait for the 3 girls to all coordinate their schedule, have Christmas. have a Christmas with my parents. It's just busy. I'm sure like a lot of other people, you're just moving around. It's not, I'll tell you one thing it's not like is waking up on Christmas Day and sitting on the couch and having Christmas at home. We just don't do that.
Yeah. Those are good times, though.
Yeah. Do you get to do that?
No, every other year. So both my parents are gone. So my family, my brother, sister, and I traded. So basically, last year we had Christmas. Next year we'll get it. My brother gets Thanksgiving. That's we brokered a deal. So we're at my sister's this Christmas, but it's good. I mean, it's different, but it's hey, dude, there's people that don't have nobody to hang out with. Like I used to be a bartender before I did this full time, and it blew me away. There's people that like if we were open Christmas Day, they'd show up, and it's not because they're drunk. It's because they don't have anyone. So
no, they don't have anybody else to talk to.
Yeah. So at least that's what I tell myself when I'm driving for hours.
It was weird, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, it seemed like everybody in the county was at my parents' house. And then as we got older, it kind of, spread out. And I didn't really understand it at the time. It's like, well, everybody's getting married and going this way or the other. And now I see my kids, 2 of the 3 are married. And it's just like, it's so hard to coordinate everybody's schedule. But the good thing, like you said, everybody's still around and it's fun no matter what. It's just busy.
I've never thought about this, and we didn't have a plan going into this show, but I just thought about it. You mentioned 2 of your girls are married. You're an intimidating dude. What was it like when you met that? Like, did you have anything planned, or did they just know not to mess with Chief Christie?
No, just meeting them was fine. I mean, and that was one thing, like all my girls are pretty close in age. So growing up, they were with me a lot, hunting and fishing. Once that 13 and 14, once they didn't want to go hunting and fishing, there's other things on their mind. And luckily, I cannot think of one guy that has been around or one boyfriend that's been around that I didn't think was a good person. So
nice.
That's been easy. And I think the more you do it, like Allie, my oldest, I was probably tougher on her, but the other 2, I mean, I trust their judgment. You know what I mean? They're probably more critical than me on judging. So if they think they're good, then it is what it is. But it's one of those. As long as they're happy, I'm good. As long as they treat them good, that's all you can ask for.
That's it. That's the truth. I mean, literally, you want your kids to be happy and safe. You know what I mean? Like it's so weird. Like before you have kids, you're like, I hope my kid does this, and then after you have kids, you're like, I just really want them to be happy and safe, and that's all that matters. So
it is a dagger in the heart, though, when you're like, hey, you want to go sit in a tree this evening? Oh, I think I'm going to go hang out with boyfriend X or husband. And I mean, it is what it is. So good kids. And we've been lucky in that part, and 2 of them's married. So hopefully the youngest finds one as good as the other 2.
Yeah. So very busy time at Christmas, and you decided, well, you know what I'll do? Right before Christmas, I'm going to launch a brand new web series just to make it busier.
Yeah. So I've been wanting to do something, just something else in addition to the YouTube side of it. And all it is a YouTube series on the channel and it's probably a weird name, but we called it the Brown Recliner Series because I actually came up with the idea of sitting. There's a brown recliner right back there, my favorite chair in the world. And, we kind of dabbled on the idea of podcast stuff, but there's so many people doing that. I just literally wanted to sit back and tell some of the experiences that I've had through fishing. we shot an episode this morning that was over the classic that I won. You know what I mean? Like what led up to that, and following that episode that we shot an episode about the classic that didn't work out. What a lot of people didn't know.
Yeah.
Kind of my thinking throughout the tournament. There's not going to be any guidelines for it as far as it's just going to be this, it's just going to be that. I'm going to start it by myself. And then, I was just thinking like when Gusty comes in for the Arkansas River, we'll sit down and do something. I started it off with the first episode with one of my, favorite days on the water, catching a big one with my family. And I'd like to ask him something like that. What's the one thing, the one big fish, the one fish story that you'll always remember, just kind of stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
I'm sure it'll go well. How long are these going to be?
8 to 15 minutes per episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you don't like it, you only got to listen for 8 minutes. You scroll on to the next one. And we're going to do some, it's just in addition to the YouTube. It's not like, we're just adding to it, just trying something else to see if people like it. And if they like it, we'll keep doing it. If they don't like it, we'll try something else.
Yeah. But real talk.
Yeah. Real talk.
Yeah. Do you find that's what people want now?
Where I actually came up with an idea, several months ago, I had a guy come to me wanting to go in as partners on a lodge around the lake. And he thought, and he's like, man, he goes, it would go over great. He said, if you could just show up for dinner every now and then and just sit around and talk and tell fishing stories, he said, people would love it. And when you've been doing it as long as we have a lot of experiences. And you start sharing those and you can just see people get dialed in. And I just got thinking about that. I was like, maybe I don't want to invest in a lodge. Maybe we can just sit in the recliner and tell stories. And you know what? Another thing that works out great is today we went and filmed a fishing show in the afternoon, and it was freaking cold. Well, we can film these whenever I'm home. We don't have to go fishing, and it's a stable environment, so it's easy to do.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I don't know.
I think it'll go good. So the name is the Brown
Recliner Series.
Brown Recliner Series.
Probably could have come up with a better name, but I liked it. So if I like it.
No, I think it's strong. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to be the Brown Recliner. Yeah. And you're going to tell some stories. I like it. And they come out Wednesday, so you're totally going to compete with my podcast. Thank you.
No. Actually, we thought about that. I told you that it's going to come out Wednesday, and we thought that your podcast comes out Wednesday. We did not want to directly compete, so we're going to come out Thursday.
Come on.
Yeah, so we're going to we'll have like 6 episodes that will go live Thursday, and then we'll add one every 2 weeks on Thursday.
Wow, you really thought about me.
Yeah.
That's the gift that keeps on giving, right? It is the festive season.
It is Christmas.
Yeah. Well, thank you for thinking of me. I'm excited to see it. So I imagine this will also be, do you feel this will in some ways be therapeutic for you just to sit down and lay it out there?
Yeah. One thing, how I'll be thinking of, driving, and I think, man, this one time, I caught this on the crankbait, or I lost this tournament would be a good story. But it's easy just to walk around like in the shop and you see, I may have a 4th place finish over there, a BFL finish or something, and it just kind of like triggers that event or something around that event. So a lot of the first episodes are just going to be here, things on the wall and stuff. Other than that, Dude, I've been doing this for almost 20 years now. I got enough episodes to go for a while. As long as you watch them, I got enough stories. And, crazy things. There's been some crazy things on the water. With the Native American kind of background and family background and just fishing wise, deer hunting, family stuff. There's crazy things that's happened. Good. Good and bad. You know what I mean?
Well, I wouldn't be good at my job if I didn't follow that up with, give me, what is something crazy that's happened to you? I don't want to spoil your series.
One of the things, I got goosebumps right now thinking about this. And we were on Clark Seal. I was fishing an FLW event. And the fishing was really tough. Like if you caught 5, you were doing good. And I was fishing a big, giant creek. Like 4 or 5 miles long. I don't even know the name of it. And I had practiced a lot in this creek. Well, I did find one pocket that I got a lot of bites in. And the rest of them, I know this one pocket, I did not get a bite in. I fished all the way around because I had a trail. Well, the first day I was in like 8th or 10th or something like that. And the second day I start back in that pocket where I caught all of my fish in one pocket. I didn't catch anything. So about 11 o'clock, I was running out of the creek. And my co-angler was with me. And the creek was probably a couple hundred yards wide, not really wide. But I look up and I make eye contact with a blue heron flying right directly at me. And I seen 500 yards away. You know what happens usually in that? They get up there and they veer off, once they get close to you. Well, I'm like, he's going to move. He's going to move. He's going to move. He gets 5 feet or 10 feet from the front of my boat. And I'm like, well, I got to be the one that moved. And he just turned and banks like full, like he didn't even know I was there. And my marshal or my co-angler, actually, he goes, what the hell was that? I was like, dude, I have no idea. Well, I went another few hundred yards and I just kind of looked over my shoulder and that bird flew over and landed in this little pocket that I practiced in, but I did not get a bite. Well, I just kind of looked. I was like, that's weird. And I went on another half mile and I couldn't stand it anymore. I was like, he's telling me to go over there. Everybody watching this is probably laughing. I did a 180. My co-angler thought I was crazy. I pulled over in that pocket and caught a limit in 20 minutes and did not get a bite there in practice, but I caught a limit in 20 minutes, which put me into the cut for the third day. So just stuff like that. Just things that you can't really explain. Did the bird have anything to do with me catching the fish? Probably not. Was he telling me something? Probably not. But it's just the fact that happened. And I just happened to look over my shoulder and he goes back into a pocket and lands. I just couldn't help myself. I had to go back and see. So
I feel like that kind of stuff has happened more in your career than the average human. Would you agree?
Well, I think a lot of people may not, they don't think about it. They just don't think about it. Like at Toledo when the fish jumped in my boat in practice, actually when I was idling out, but he literally jumped in my lap, scared the heck out of me. And I went back to that same spot and it was like a 3.5 pounder and caught a 10 pounder. So I don't know. My career is built on wildlife experiences.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I just pay attention to that kind of stuff. I don't know.
You think the average person just writes it off? It's
I wouldn't say
it's
that.
you and Rick Clun paying attention to those things.
I wouldn't say the average person. I'd just say that not a lot of people put a lot of merit into a bird flying down straight at them and going and landing on a bank. Most people would have just dodged and kept on keeping on.
Do you think that comes from your upbringing? Like, was that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, you just hear these stories, all growing up, and not only, from my family, but, when I taught school for 10 years or coached, you heard the same sort of stories from the kids that they had heard from their parents and stuff. So, you just think about that kind of stuff.
Today's high-tech fishing world can be a real pain in the neck, especially if you're running the wrong mounts. Beat Down Outdoors, they bring the graph to you. And they support this podcast and care enough about you to make this a short ad read. Check out Beat Down Outdoors. Now back to the show.
I sometimes forget that you were a school teacher, basketball coach. And I don't know. I mean, and there's probably people from that world that could never envision you as the Jason Christie you are today, but I can't envision you as Mr. Christie's coming to class. Like, did you think you would do that for your whole life?
In the beginning, probably yes. Whenever I first started coaching, I loved it. It was fun, but we all know that it doesn't pay good. It just doesn't. Especially in Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's like 48th out of 50 in teacher pay. But I was able to supplement that with fishing.
Yeah.
Weekend tournaments, BFLs, and stuff like that. Like, I made a pretty good living while I was coaching. But in the beginning, I never thought that something like this was going to come up, being able to fish full time. And it just got to where, weekend tournaments turned into BFLs turned into, back then it was the Strand Series. And then I had a year where I won a lot, and I just thought if I was going to do it, I better do it now. And the good thing about it is I knew that if I went and fished for 2 or 3 years and it didn't work out, I could always come back.
Yeah.
Shanna and I actually went and watched the basketball game last week, and we hadn't been one in a couple of years since my youngest graduated. That's what she said. She's like, I could never see you standing on the sideline yelling at kids. But I loved it. It was competitive, and I loved teaching the kids and stuff like that. There was just other things that I didn't love.
Yeah. You ever think when you hang up fishing that you'd get back into coaching, but maybe even like with the world we're living in today, a collegiate fishing coach, that's a realistic possibility.
Yeah. I would, whenever you first said that, like basketball, absolutely not. Fishing or something like that. I could see that, but I really think when I'm done with this, what I'm doing now, I think that you'll be on your podcast and somebody will say my name and you're like, I haven't talked to him or I haven't seen him in like 5 years. That's how I'm going to be. I think I'll just kind of go hide for a while.
Go full Letterman, grow a big beard.
Yeah. Crappie fishing, bass fishing for fun. We went gigging the other night.
For frogs?
No, and that's what everybody said. So we filmed it. We gigged hog suckers and red horse. You know what those are?
They're like, no. I'm guessing like they're like a chub type minnow thing.
But they're big. They can get big. Like we gigged some that were a couple 3 pounds, the hog sucker. And so they get in like the clear streams. We gigged them in the river here. The best eating I've ever had. like we gigged them, and we got back, and the old boy that took us knew exactly what he was doing. He cooked them up there on the bank. I'm telling you, yellow perch was my favorite until then. Like, it was outstanding.
Hog sucker
And red horse.
Gosh, red horse is sucker, right? Like, it's straight up sucker, isn't it?
Yeah, the hog sucker has a big snout. Like, he's 100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they're kind of got a camouflage back. The red horse, it kind of looks like a big gizzard shad. I mean, it kind of looks like a cross between a carp and a gizzard shad. But we caught a couple that were probably 2 pounds, and I thought they were big. And the guy that took us said they had a red horse tournament there last year, and the people that won it had 5 for 35.
Wow.
Yeah, that's big. That's big. So anyway, it was really good. Hog sucker.
So I was going to ask you, when you started talking about that, like, do you still love fishing? Do you still get a joy from fishing, or is it mainly pressure? But if you're going hog sucker fishing, clearly you still have the addiction. This is not just a business.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, and I think that's what I like as much now as anything, is doing different things like saltwater fishing. I don't get to do it a lot. Usually around ICAST, like, I love saltwater fishing, crappie fishing. One of my favorite things is you can see I had to put my pontoon in the shop this year, in this shop. But we get on that and we go up the river in the summer. We go as far as we can and we park on the bank, and Shanna gets out, the kids get out, swim and stuff, and I take off wading up the river. And that's one of my favorite things to do. I'll grab a little spook and a little crawdad and just take off up the river. Use an old spinning pole or something.
Yeah.
So I still love fishing.
Yeah.
I do.
There's something about that style of fishing too, I think. Like, when you do something, like when you get away from everything and you're like, you do what you did when you were a freaking kid. I think there's something that, like, it's different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. It's just, you got the dogs are wading with you, and you only got a couple baits in your pocket. If you break off, you gotta, gnaw the line off. It's you don't have pliers or anything like that. It's just relaxing, and I love it. Like, I could do it. Of course, you can't do it in the wintertime, but I love doing it in the summer because it's hot and you're waist deep. And I've caught some big fish doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
if we had to give the nickname of hog sucker to somebody in the Elite Series, who do you think would have it?
we're gonna start 2026 off hog sucker. Oh, I'm not gonna say Hackney.
No, that's an E.
No, Hackney's more of a what would Hackney be?
He's Hackney.
Hackney be hunting something. What fish like hunts and eats everything? That would be Hackney.
The cormorant.
Yeah. I don't know who the hog sucker would be.
I'm going Prosnick.
He's a big guy. I don't know if I'd be calling him names.
I don't think he's got the internet.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'll have to think on that, who the hog sucker would be.
So you're starting a new YouTube series, which brings me to ask, do you feel like in your job, there's been different times in this sport where pros did certain things, but do you feel a pressure to constantly be delivering outside of competition?
I think that's just, I think that's what a guy has to do these days for sponsors. The sponsors on all our contracts send us deliverables, what they want. Okay. My goal each year is to give them what they want plus some. And that's why, we started doing the YouTube, gosh, now it's been 3 or 4 years ago. And it's not just YouTube. It's, we put a really, really strong effort into social media. We just do. And I talk to the sponsors a lot. I just feel like a guy has to do that kind of stuff to stay ahead of everybody else. At the end of the day, each year these sponsors, I think every one of them, they have a round table meeting at the end of the year, and they evaluate everybody in the group. Yeah. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
And I would want my contract to come across their desk and them say, well, he didn't catch any bass this year, but look what he did besides that, the social media, the YouTube, the development, product development, whether it be in the boats, the rods, the reels, whatever it might be. And that's just where I think that's what we are supposed to do.
Yeah.
My job is not to sit here and take a check and put a sticker on my truck and say, that's not my job. My job is to do what they need plus some. Right. And so to answer your question, is some of their YouTube was thinking, okay, if I retire in 5 years, what am I going to do? Well, if I start building this YouTube, that gives me an avenue if I decide to do that in 5 years. Maybe I don't, but if I do, it's there for me to go after that. That was one of the reasons that we did it. Sponsor-wise, and I think that it's been good. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from not only sponsors and fans and stuff like that. And, we talk about this a lot. 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, you stop at a gas station, you go into a restaurant, you go into a tackle store, and these people always come up and, we meet new people all the time. And it was always, hey, good job last week on Chickamauga, or great job at the last tournament, or you did good this. Now it's all about the videos.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate that video you did over the spinnerbait. I actually caught 4 or 5 fish after I watched that video. I appreciate the video you did on the boat rigging. I actually rigged mine. So I see that. And that's what makes me want to do more is the feedback from all of the people that watch that.
Yeah.
So,
hey,
the only bad thing is I wish I could do more. But if we can release one video, every week or two, that's a lot. It's a lot of work. I know you probably put in way more work, more time on an episode than we do, but still, like we have other things going on plus life, and then you're trying to get a video out, a long form video, plus some shorts every week or two. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, and the weird thing about it is it's a monster that's never fed. Like no matter how much you do, like say you said, okay, we're doing one a week at one time was like lofty. But now you're doing one a week, but then you're like, okay, we'll do 2 a week. But even 2 a week, you're not going to be like, that's the number. Yeah. It's going to, so it's, but I think I think just the fact that you're putting out new stuff that's what people want, an opportunity to connect with you and see. I always think everybody has people that follow them are fans for a reason, yeah. And some of them, sure, if you're from Oklahoma, you're going to cheer for Jason Christie. But I think that openness and that people connecting with you, that's what really people want an emotional connection to somebody. Like if somebody's a fan of you, I can almost tell you the style they like to fish and everything like that. That's why they're connecting with you. Yeah. And the more things one of the best compliments ever we get on this show is where people afterwards will be like, hey, I was a fan of that guy. Now I'm a bigger fan of them. Yeah. Or even we've had some people who are like, I didn't really like that guy. Now I'm a big fan of them because you get to know the person that they are. So I think the more you put out there is a good thing. You're known as a very strong competitor, like mentally strong, I would say most people. But do you still have Do you still get the voices in your head that say, "Hey, you can't do this"?
Huh. No, I don't think that voice says you can't do this. It just says, are we getting too old to do this sometimes? And it's not the age factor. Like I feel physically, I feel as good now as I ever have. It's the thing I think with fishing is I think in your 20s and your 30s, you know just enough. You know what I mean? Like you go out and you know about this much, and that's what you go after, and that's what works. And then you get some momentum and you take off, and this is what you see. And when you get to my age, and I still feel young, and I think I'm still young, but you have so many ideas. You have so many different things that you want to do. We've been to, a lot of these lakes that we go to. I've been to some of these lakes, like Gunnersville, where we start in 26. I've probably been there 20 times in different tournaments.
Yeah.
I've fished from dam to dam. And I just think as you get older, you have so much, you just have a lot of ideas, or I know that I do. And you have so many experiences at the lakes that it's just hard to quiet those down when you go to these places. You're running by a pocket that 3 years ago I caught 25 pounds in a tournament. It's hard to do that. You know what I mean? If there was one thing I could do, would be just to erase a lot of that stuff that's happened in fishing. And I'm just saying, maybe that wasn't the best way to put it, but we just have a lot of ideas, or I do.
So what is competition like? If you could explain to me what it's like in your head when you're competing, like, are you like when you're saying that to me, I'm thinking of a guy that's fishing and it's like nonstop. They're probably on that point. They're this, or that they were here 4 years ago. Like, what does competition feel like in your head?
No, it's really not like that. I mean, competition to me is probably like my brain is a lot. I would say a lot slower than 90% of the dudes out there. I mean, I'm an area guy. Like I'll get in the area and I will figure something out in that area to do well in the tournament. Now, doing well in the tournament, maybe top 5, or maybe I had a poor practice and maybe just a top 50 as well in the tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I think that mouse is pedaling that bicycle pretty slow up there compared to some guys. I mean, I see these guys, run back and forth all over the lake, and I'm just, I'm not like that. It's just, I want to get a couple of rides on the deck, and I want to get on a pattern, and I want to run it in an area if I can. So not a lot of moving parts, probably not as much as you think. Where I was going with just being there so much, you got to be able to put that out of your mind whenever you're dialed in for that day. If I'm running points, I can't run by a pocket that I caught them in 10 years ago and want to go back there and fish, which I've done some.
So you've done that sometimes, and I imagine sometimes it works, which is sometimes what really screws you.
Yeah, sometimes it does. Not enough lately, but sometimes it does.
Do you feel you've changed as you've aged? Like when you say you move pretty slow, like turns pretty slow, has it always been that way with you? Or do you think as you've matured, it's changed?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, I think it's the same for most guys. Or for me, when I first started doing this, like I had to make money. I didn't have a lot of sponsor money coming in the beginning, and I had to make money to keep fishing. So that was the stressor that was always there that probably pushed me a little faster that I wanted to go, probably hinged my decision making a little bit. rather than going for it a lot. And now it's just, I still want to do good. I'm still competitive, but I'm at a slower pace up here. You know what I mean? It's just different. It's really hard to explain. Just kind of laid back. Yeah, just taking each day. Yeah.
So do you feel like when you've had events that don't go your way, like what do you throughout the day, does it ever speed up? Like if it's not going your way, are the last 2 hours faster, or is it still, I got to just do what I'm doing?
No, it all depends on the situation.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of tournaments last year, where you get close to the end of the day and I don't have what I would want to have, and you're kind of running a little bit crazy. But I think I've learned we just got to catch 5.
Yeah.
And so many times at the end of the day, what happens if you got an hour left, you start and you need 2 fish, you start going crazy and you spend more time running around, changing baits, changing rods than you do actually fishing. And in my experience, it's better just to put it on cruise and really pay attention to what you're doing. And it seems like I get those 2 bites better doing that than I do hopscotching around, going crazy.
You're a confident dude. Do you ever, dude, I'm 10 minutes into a day in the water and I'm like, this was a horrible mistake. I shouldn't be on this side of the lake. I should be throwing a bait that does the exact opposite of what I'm doing. But do you ever get to that point, or do you just always feel like it's going to happen? I just got to keep being Jason Christie.
I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, there's days out there where I'm just like, I picked the wrong area or I made a wrong decision or something like that, but I never give up. Say at 12 o'clock, I made a 20-mile run and I'm like, this was not a good decision. I'm not saying that I've given up for the day, but it's time to move and do something else. And, that's one of the things the last couple of years that, these marshals, ambassadors, whatever we call them. That's one of the things I hear from them is, and I'm sure the other guys do, is like, man, you guys go 100 miles an hour. And when I say 100 miles an hour, not necessarily running around, but just, we always have a bait in the water from the start to finish. And it's funny because you'll see them look at their clock. We got to check in at 3. And they're like, it's 20 minutes. 20 minutes, you probably need to see what they're thinking. And we take off, and they buckle their life jacket everywhere it can be buckled, plus zip it up. And they zip their bag up like we're going back to weigh-in. And then, you make 7 stops before you get back to weigh-in. So it just surprises them. But, start to finish, the last minute is just as important as the first minute.
Yeah. In other sports, you hear people say, like, it's just faster. Like, when people go from college to pros, they're just like, everything happens faster. And from the outside watching the Elite Series, as long as I have, I'm like, it's the same here. It's just not that physical speed but it's like every bit of wasted energy has been eliminated. I used to get a kick out of when J.O. was on the water, we used to have so many galleries where the boat was still on play, like it's up like this, and you got guys like climbing up the mountain to get to the front of the deck because like the average human lets the boat settle. They have a drink of their whatever, they unzip and they
pull their life jacket off. Yeah.
You guys have already made 2 casts.
Yeah. And you make that cast and you fish it for 10 feet where you think the bite's going to be, and then you burn it in and then you're making another cast. And that's that's the name of the game. I mean, the more your bait's in the water in productive areas, the more money you're going to make.
Yeah.
And that is the name of the game. So anybody wasting any time, I mean, it burns me to waste any time. Not even a minute. Like I hardly eat on the water because I just feel like I'm wasting time. The only time I ever grab a bite or anything is if I'm going through a long no wake or something like that. I might grab a snack or something. But yeah, just time is money in bass fishing.
Avco not only makes incredible outdoor clothing, but they care about anglers with their 10% pledge. Avco and the Shed family donate at least 10% of the company's profits to conservation and making fishing better. Now back to the show.
What do you think separates you? You have guys who win one, but then you have guys like yourself that have clearly proven to have longevity, to have won a bunch of them. What do you think the difference is between those two anglers?
For one, it's so hard to win a event because it's a 4-day event. You know what I mean? It's hard to win a event. But a guy can find a really good spot or really good area and have it to himself, and it can be done. To win multiple times, I think for one, I think the main reason is just how I fish. I think the way that I fish, whether it be throwing a spinnerbait, frogging, flipping, I think that tends to give a guy a better chance to win. On St. Clair, a lot of guys are throwing a drop shot. I'm throwing a 3/4 ounce tube. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's the better bait for big fish, but I'm saying I feel like if I can get 10 bites on a tube, they're going to outweigh 10 bites on a drop shot. That's just my personal opinion, but I think it's just the way that I fish, and I think that I'm not scared to have a bad event. You know what I mean? It goes like the Sabine. I mean, the chances are, and I told Shannon this when the event started. I said the chances are that I cannot make it there and back 4 days without hitting a log or doing something like that. But I also knew that the winning fish was up there, so I was going to go no matter what. I think it's just the personality and how a guy goes about it. Put yourself in position, to win.
Do you love to win more, or do you hate to lose more?
That is a really hard. How do I answer that question? Like, I love to win, but I think I hate to lose worse than I love to win. That's hard to explain, but it's bass fishing's not like basketball or let's just say baseball, where if you win half of the time, you're probably in the playoffs or 60% of the time. Basketball, a higher percentage than that. I don't know how many events I have fished, probably 200, 250 professional events, and I haven't won that much. Like when I say that much, I mean percentage wise.
Yeah.
So in bass fishing, you have to be able to swallow that pill a lot on not winning. I mean, Van Dam probably won as much as anybody, but he lost more than he won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what's good for me is if I don't win, is feeling like that I did the very best that I could do, meaning I had a good practice. I landed most of the fish that bit. I just didn't find the winning. At the end of the event, I want to say, well, you did good with your 15th place finish. You just didn't find the winning fish. You did good with what you had, the cards that were dealt with to you. That's a win for me. Now, whenever I feel like that I find the winning fish, or I find some fish, some top 5 fish, and I finish 30th or 40th or 60th, that's tough to swallow. Or you go to your home lake on Lake Teamkiller that you have fished for 30 years and you finish 90th, that's hard to swallow. So, you want to hear a little story about that?
Yeah.
So we didn't get to take the pontoon out prior to that event. And because of the off limits and stuff like that. So my pontoon pretty much sat in the marina. I think it was the next weekend. That's the first thing we did is we loaded up and got on the pontoon and we head up the river, and I jump on the boat still like just, we haven't even put the power poles down. It's still just like floating. And I throw a spook out there and catch like a 3-pounder and throw something else out there and catch like a 4-pounder. And he's like, yeah, that was a pretty good fish. I said, do you realize in the last 5 minutes on the front of this pontoon, I caught more than I did the first day of the Elite Series running around the bass boat? And so that was tough to swallow. I mean, that was hard to handle, but it is what it is.
Why do you think that happened?
I look at it like this, is I thought that if I had to bet, it was going to be one on the bank flipping. But I also knew there were going to be 60 to 70 guys doing that. A lot of these guys can flip. There's no hidey holes on Teamkiller, so it's going to be just who gets the right bites. I felt like my best chances to win were offshore. I know a lot of places. I felt like if I got in the right groove, then it was going to happen. And it was so close. Like, you know how these fish are in that June period, like they want to get out, and then you get 3 or 4 days. They actually get out, and then you get 3 or 4 days of cloudy, cool, and then they kind of get in between. Like they won't just all show up there, and if they are there, they won't really bite. We were we could fish on Teamkiller for the next 20 years at that day and never have the same weather that we would have. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, my chances to win, I felt better about it offshore than on the bank. So bad decision.
I don't know if you can honestly answer this, but if you got a mulligan and you got to do that again, like, is the obvious answer is you hit the bank with everybody, or would you do the exact same thing again?
Probably not. Teamkiller is a really, really good lake. Fishing, lots of fish, lots of good fish, abundant number of smallmouth. You will not see them in June. But it's small. You can't, even if you have a stretch, like you're going to go down that stretch and more than likely somebody's going to come in behind you. So I just would not feel like my odds were good on winning on the bank. I just wouldn't feel that way. So if I had to do over again, yeah, the easy thing to say is I probably would have went to the bank, but probably not. Probably not. And that's why I'm hard-headed. Probably not.
It's worked out pretty good for you.
Yeah.
You had mentioned how hard it is to win at fishing, and I think that's one of the most understated things. Like, I think people just don't realize, like, if you look percentage-wise, you guys have a sickness. Like, it's like, if you look at how rare a win is, it's a sickness that you guys have. But do you think that it's hard? Do you think that's what appeals you to competitive fishing?
You just look at the odds. What do we have? Just say we have 100 guys. For the last, 15 years on the elites, it's been around 100 guys. So you have a 1 in 100 chance to win, and you only get to fish 9 events a year. So, it's just like, Pat last year, winning 2. Like, not only did he break the 1 in 100, but he did it twice.
Yeah.
You know, and I was able to do that a while back. When you do something like that, and that just goes to show you that in this sport, it's just like basketball. It's just like any other sport where you get momentum, when you get it right up here, gosh, you just think you can't do anything wrong. And whenever, like, that's what I want before I'm done fishing, is I want one more of those runs where you just, everything clicks for a year or 2 or 3. You know, and sometimes everything clicking is not a win. Like I'm saying, like it's like you're on a 50th place fish, but you finished 20th. You know what I mean? Like, it's just everything going good. So it's so much fun when you're in that mindset and you're in that groove. And it sucks so bad when you're not, because you know what it feels like. And, you know, a boat comes by and you're like, I wonder where they're going. I wonder what they're doing. And when you're in that groove, the only thing that you see is your bait landing in the water. You know what I mean? You don't care about what anybody else is doing other than what you're doing. And people outside the sport would be like, well, just tell yourself that. You don't just tell yourself that. You know what I mean? It's all up here. So we want to get in that groove again.
How easy is it to get out of that? Like, when you've been there, like, how quick does it? I mean, you've rode that for a while in certain situations. You're one of the very blessed guys who has had that. When does it end? Like, I mean, as a sports fan, I relate to the feeling of, like, we can never lose, to, oh boy, things just abruptly, but that's an abrupt kind of, you know, an injury where but in fishing, like, is it as simple as one bad finish, or does it take a bunch of them to kind of knock you out of that zone?
I think it takes more than one. I mean, throughout my career, even, you know, when Polnick beat me for Angler of the Year, or I shouldn't say Polnick beat me. Polnick won, I finished second. Even that year, like, my career, if you look at it, 8 or 9, or out of 9 tournaments, I'll have 7 or 8 really good finishes and 1 bomb every year. So I don't think it's one event that makes that happen. I think it's losing confidence in what you're doing. I think that's where you really start questioning yourself, and I'm not there by no means. But when you start questioning yourself and questioning the decisions that you've made before you've even made them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing, is whenever you get in that groove, you're not making decisions. It's just reactions. You know what I mean? You just, like, you pull a trolling motor up and you're like, I'm going there. You don't pull a trolling motor up and go, well, I can go over here or I can go over there. You don't think like that. It's instant react to what's around you.
And from the outside looking in, it also isn't just I'm going there and I'm going to catch them. Like, there's no, like, I wonder if they're there. I wonder what it's wild, because I've seen anglers go through both sides of that. Like, and it's the same human. Like, you're like, last year you weren't guessing or anything, and it was just, it's going to happen. So I would imagine that success feeds that. I mean, it's hard to have one without the other, right?
Right. And it's not only elite series success. You know, typically what I like to do is I'll take off until Christmas, like October, November, December, from, like, back competitive bass fishing. I'll film a little bit and that's it. But after that, you know, I start showing up out here at these wintertime jackpots and stuff, and I'm not going there to win money. You know what I mean? I'm not going there for any other reason than I want to get back into the groove of just making, being on the water, running my boat, things like that. And so it starts way before the Elite Series gets here. But, if a guy gets out there and he wins him a couple of these little jackpots and stuff like that, it kind of kicks you off for the beginning of the year. And, I haven't looked yet, but I'd like to fish a couple of events before the Elite Series starts this year.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at the schedules yet, but I'd like to jump into a couple just to get in the groove. But the problem is we start so early this year, the first week of February, there's not a lot of events in January to choose from. And if you do choose one, where are you going to go? You got to go to Texas or Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. We not only start early, but we start in Alabama. I have a feeling that we're going to be like, yeah, Florida wasn't so bad.
2 in Alabama. We have 2 in Alabama. The first, right off the bat. Yeah.
Do you, obviously the big news going into this, basically a split schedule, one on, one off. How do you think that's going to affect things?
Hopefully there's no more chatter about it. I would love if we go 360 days without any live scope comments on social media.
I don't think that's going to happen, Jason.
At the end of the day, no matter what my opinion is, it should make everybody happy. Because you get, if you want it this way, you got half the events. If you want it this way, you got half of the events. Everybody should be happy. And at the end of the year, honestly, we ought to kind of have an idea of what works and what doesn't. So, no matter my opinion, no matter what I want to do, but, I think it's going to be interesting to see how it all goes down.
Do you think it's possible to make everyone happy?
No.
No.
No, I was a school teacher. You're not going to make everybody happy no matter what you do. So,
yeah.
I think, I think for the times, it's probably, I don't know what else we could have done that would have said, okay, we're going to do, we're going to just split it down the middle. And, I like the fact that they didn't pick and choose the events. And for the main reason is you're going to see live scope play on places that you wouldn't think. For instance, like when Kyle won last year on the Pasquotank. Who would have thought that was going to, you would have thought somewhere other than that. And
yeah.
We have live scope on the Arkansas River and I guarantee you there'll be somebody, if not 3 or 4 in the top 10 live scoping. And the people around here would never think that, but I guarantee you these guys, there'll be 3 or 4 in the top 10 that'll catch them doing that, especially the time of year that we're going to be there.
Yeah.
So it's just different times, it's just different times.
Are you routinely shocked with things you see happening with live scope? Like, does it still shock you, or are you just like, nah, nothing shocks me anymore?
No, so today was actually the first day that I have filmed and fished since the season's been over. Like, seriously went out and tried to catch a bass. And we did a live scope deal today. And I don't know if it's been off for a few months or what, but like I get out there today and the first 4 or 5 that I see, I catch. Did they just swim over there and eat the bait? And I was like, God, this is dumb, just like it was 3 or 4 years ago. And then, like, I threw at 100, or not 100, I threw at 50. So what I saw today is there's a lot more people doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're not easy to catch. Just because you see them and you throw your bait down there doesn't mean that you're going to catch them. So yeah, what I learned today and just so today I have not thrown a umbrella rig since 2013.
Wow.
Like I won the FLW Beaver in 2013 throwing an Alabama rig, actually the Flash Mob. And the last cast that I made on the last day was the last time I had thrown it until today, because they banned it. So my thinking is, what use is it for me to throw it if I can't use it in the event? Well, we want to put some videos out. So today I wanted to throw it, and gosh, I was blown away by the amount of fish I threw by that would not eat it. Now we caught some fish, I'm not going to lie to you, but I threw by a bunch of them that would not eat it. I mean, literally just follow it all the way to the boat. I had to make a specific cast every time to get one to bite. I mean, the only way I could get them to bite was to make one specific cast. So it does every day that I see it, I see something that I'm like, I didn't know that.
You were one of the first guys to win a major event on it, maybe the first. Did you ever imagine, like, when you first started using it, did you think, oh, one day this is going to be this? Or like, what was your takeaway from that?
I knew. So being in this industry, you see a lot of products you see some good, some not so good, from all different kinds. Yeah. I mean, everything. And that's, and when I saw that back in, I think it was 16 or 15, 16, something like that. Like I remember making the drive up there, they asked me to come up there and look at it. And when they put it in the water, it took me a little while to process what I was seeing. I mean, a few minutes. And once I kind of processed it, of course, I didn't have a fishing pole. I was just like, oh my goodness, there's going to be a time where this is going to be really good. Of course, I'm thinking, looking at brush piles, looking at stumps, looking at things like that, not looking in open water, because you just don't think like that 10 years ago. Yeah. Like fish live in open water. But I remember coming home, they put it on my boat and going. I can remember the very first one. I was throwing a big swim bait and I threw it over a brush pile, and I watched the fish just dart out of the brush pile and come over and eat my swim bait. And I reeled it in, and I just thought, this is going to, when people figure this out, this is going to be crazy. And I was fortunate enough the first year or two that not a lot of people kind of took on to it. Really. Yeah. So, but now, I mean, you're just everybody. I mean, everybody's doing it. So you're not the guy out there doing anything different. You just got to find the winning fish. So everybody sees what you see. You know what I mean? Everybody sees the same thing that you see. So you just got to be the dude that finds the winning fish.
Why do you think it had such a slow boil? Like when it was first introduced, it really, like, for people to say, oh, this caught the industry off guard, which is probably true to a certain extent, but it wasn't like it showed up and boom, took over. It was around for a number of years.
Yeah.
And it wasn't taken serious.
I don't know. I don't know if it will. Honestly, I really don't know, because from that fish in that brush pile, I have used it every day since then, no matter if I'm in 2 foot or 50 foot. And, people would say, well, how would you use it in 2 foot? I can make one swipe and tell you where the ditch is. If I'm in the back of the creek, I can, not only I might not just be looking at fish, I might be looking at deep water, shallow water, high spots, but use it every day. for everything. And, I like to feel like some of the time I was trying to be ahead of everybody. And now I feel myself trying to catch up with everybody. You know what I mean? It's advanced so fast. And like I said, everybody sees what you see.
Yeah.
Like, what is the point of going out and putting out a brush pile anymore?
They're going to find it.
One swipe, they're going to find it. So, I mean, I don't know. Somebody's still putting a lot of brush piles out, but on my lake anyway. I just don't. I mean, everybody sees what you see. And, the cameraman today, whenever we were filming, like we would go for 15 or 20 minutes and they would be everywhere. And then we would go for 15 or 20 minutes and not see one. And then he's just like, why? It looked just like it does. It looks just the same over there. You know what I mean? But it's just every day I learn something out there.
I've run a Yamaha outboard for over 30 years. It has got me home safe each and every time. If you enjoy this podcast, remember, Yamaha supports it and they care enough about you to make this ad read very short. Now back to the show.
Which Elite Series competitor do you find the most puzzling? Like, what competitor makes you scratch your head and go, huh?
You're trying to get me in trouble.
No, I mean, that could be a compliment. Depends on how you take it.
I know I use his name a lot, but Greg just, and what gets me most about Greg is that I never, ever see him in practice. And I'm not saying that we always show up fishing the same thing in the tournament, but I just never see him in practice. And I don't look for anybody, but I do look for Greg. Because I know I never see him. And then, I'll see him in the tournament here or there. Of all of the years that we fished against each other, we've only ran into each other fishing a couple of times in all of the years. So it's not like that we're looking for the same thing all the time, but he just like slithers through the grass, and he's always there. And it seems like he's always around he's around the good stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he just has instincts of where it's going to be before he even puts his boat in the water.
Yeah.
So he's puzzling. I don't know if it's the word, but he just, I'm just amazed by how he instinctively figures it out.
Yeah. He's very, very, very sneaky.
Yeah, he is very, and he knows it. Like, he actually said something. We were fishing an event, and he made the comment that he had ran, like at daylight when practice started, he ran all the way back in the back of the creek first, so nobody would see him going in. And I caught that little comment that he said, so he could fish his way out. You know what I mean? Without having everybody be fishing and him having to run by him. So I'm starting to figure him out a little bit, but it's taken a while.
I think one of the biggest differences, everybody always looks at the younger guys and veteran anglers, and they're like, well, the young guys are good with forward face and the young guys are this. I think one of the biggest differences is kind of what you just talked about. You and Greg Hackney, last time I asked, unless it's changed since then, have literally only shared a boat if one of you gave each other a ride out to your boat. Like, you've never fished together. That is not true of the young guys. Like, they are all fishing with each other. That's a changing of the times, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I don't know that it's not that. Like, I would love to go fishing with Greg. And I'm sure I would think that Greg would like to go fishing with me. It's just that I don't have that many days to go fishing with Greg and go fishing over here and go fishing. I mean, I got 3 kids, a wife, a place to take care of, sponsors to work for, and things like that. So I just don't have that much time. I actually had the opportunity to share the boat with him this summer. We were at Zona's,
but that's a pontoon boat.
But we did some fishing.
Oh, did you?
And you talk about competitive.
Oh, yeah.
Like you thought they were having the classic out there on Zona's little lake with me and Hackney and Zona fishing. So, I mean, like that pontoon would just slow down and the engine had him, and Greg would be running to the front, firing his bait out there. It's just funny how competitive everybody is, even on the pontoon.
Yeah. No, those Zona pontoon tournaments are. I mean, they all act like nobody cares, but it's like running beside somebody in a treadmill at the gym. You're in a race, whether you want to admit it or not.
Somebody would lose one, and they'd just be like, "Golly!" And I'm like, "We're in the pontoon." So,
yeah, very competitive. What would you say is what is the most useless talent you possess? Doesn't have to be fishing, but what is something you're very good at, but there's really no use for it? Everyone has one of those.
Like one thing I can do, and you can ask Shanna, I can fix stuff, but that's very useful. I mean, that's useful.
That's useful.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Why are you asking me these hard questions?
It's not that hard. Come on.
Can't sing. That would be useless if I could. Gosh, I don't know. Useless. I have no idea. You got me.
All right. I got one. I'll tell you what
that?
Mine is, and it's very timely for this time of year. Don't know how I've been adorned with this gift, this talent, and it is a talent. If you talk to any of my family, it is freaking ridiculous, but it is useless. It brings nothing but unhappiness to the world. And it is my ability to guess gifts. Like, it is so stupid.
Oh, really?
Dude, and I have no, like, I swear to you, I don't know where it comes from, but, like, I have no idea what something is. And then it gets set in my hand, and I'm like, oh, well, that's a pair of shoes. Like, it's not because it's just like, I know. Like, I don't know where, like, if I think about it, like, if I try to overthink it, it sucks. But if I, like, blurt it out right away, and I'm like, yeah, it's a T-shirt. I mean, those are obvious gifts, obviously, but there's been things that, like, people are like, yeah, there's no way you're going to guess it. And I can't, but it doesn't bring any happiness to anybody. It ruins the surprise for me. It pisses the person off that gave you the gift. Yeah. It's a very useless talent.
Yeah, I could see. I know that would not be a good thing around that Christmas tree over there if you were guessing gifts, because they spend a lot of time wrapping it and stuff. Even if you guess it in your head, you better not blurt it out until you open it.
I've stopped. It just brings unhappiness to the family. I'm like, I don't know what it is. But
I don't know that I have any useless talents, really.
Yeah, well, you were blessed with useful ones.
Yeah, I'm not good at guessing gifts. I know that.
Yeah, well, that's what I got. That's what I got. I got that. Do you have any conspiracy theories that you believe in?
Not that I want to talk about.
All right. I get that. I get that. Do you think it'll get you in trouble?
Could, possibly.
Yeah. Okay.
I really don't. I think as a general rule, most of them are nonsense, especially the ones that we know. I think they're nonsense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's just somebody doesn't have anything to do, so they're going to make something up about a conspiracy theory. So.
People like to make stuff up. People seem to be making stuff at a more rapid pace today than ever. I think that's what the internet's done. I mean, before it used to just be a few crazy guys at the court. Like, everybody used to go to a tackle shop and there was that's old Joe. He's crazy. What he said, well, now old Joe has got 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
and there's other people that believe old Joe, and maybe his name's not Joe.
It seems like the crazier, the better on social media.
Yeah.
You know?
I wish you'd give me something crazy so we can get some clicks here.
I don't have anything crazy. You'll get some clicks, but I'll get some taken away. You know what I mean?
No, nobody's, dude. You're freaking Jason Christie. I mean, I don't think. Have you ever said something that you thought instantly like, oh wow, I'm gonna get in trouble for that?
No, and you know what? Like, it's not that. I mean, I'm old. I'm old enough now. I've been around. I really don't care what people think. You know what I mean? Like, I've always done it my way. I'm gonna do it my way. What I think is right, I think is right, and that's the way I'm gonna do it. You know, if you don't like it, tough.
I think that's a gift of aging. I think Sarah threw me this surprise birthday party a couple years ago. And my brother, afterwards, the next day, he's like, all the people at your party were just super cool. Like, most time you go to a party and there's somebody, that guy's annoying them. I mean, he's like, all your friends are cool. And I'm like, yeah, that's my 30th birthday. There was probably some jackasses there. But by the time you're 50, you're like, I've weeded most of them out of my life, or they've weeded me out of their life, or however it's worked. But
yeah.
So it's the festive season. What is your New Year's wish? If you could bestow a wish on the fishing industry, what is it for 2026?
Just that we all get along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just that we all get along. Go fishing. Go back to just fishing.
Yeah.
And that sounds so simple, but just go back to fishing. That's all. I mean, that's the one thing in the fishing industry. That's because that's all I want. Just go back to just go fishing.
Yeah. Remember that it's just something we love. I mean, there's stressful crap in the world. That's real stressful. This is fishing.
I'm going to tell you, there's probably not a better job to have. So, I mean, I'm talking to the guys that are fishing. Like, there's probably not a better job out there to have, other than just, going crappie fishing every day and getting a check in the mail. There's not a better job to have, and there's not a better place to be than where we are. You know what I mean?
You think people need to remember that sometimes?
I think so. Because I've tested the waters some, and it's just we have a good job, and we have there's a lot of people looking at us, even whenever we don't think that. So we kind of set the standard, and we need to remember that.
Yeah,
we need to go fishing and teach fishing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the strangest present you've ever been sent by an Elite Series pro or a group of pros?
Oh my goodness! Do you really know the answer to this?
I mean, sure.
I can't say what the president is, but whenever we were on Lay Lake, Greg blames it on Kobe Krieger, but one of the two, if not both, sent me a gift. And it was to mock what I caught the 9-pounder on.
Uh-huh.
What did I catch the 9-pounder on? You remember?
Yeah, you caught it on a wacky worm.
Yeah. So what gift could a guy get that would look like a wacky worm?
Is it the same?
I don't want you to answer that, but
no.
the people watching and listening, you could probably imagine. And I'm going to tell you, this wacky worm was so big, it would probably the only fish in the world that would bite it would be a shark. So it was giant.
A very large wacky worm.
A very large wacky worm.
Was it green pumpkin or?
It was more like on the bubblegum color.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's the Christmas spectacular. We had to talk about gifts.
Yeah.
Did you send them something in return, or
no? I'm still stewing on that, and they know that. Like the longer that I think about it, I'm waiting for the right time. I can just, the time that Lisa's checking live wells in live well check, or if I'm ever in airport security with either of the two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm still thinking about it.
Okay. Its time will come, though. It hasn't been forgotten.
The time will come. If something happens to me, like I will give direct instructions for someone else to deliver out what I'm going to do. I need the perfect time to do it because it'll be way worse than what they did.
Yeah. Yeah. And what made that good or not good, depending on what side of the coin you're on, was that you were shocked. So you got to let it. I mean, I'm going to stop talking about it. Just let it go away, and their guard will drop at some point, and that's when you strike with your giant wacky worm.
Yeah, there was a whole crew involved in that. Actually, Gussie had a little piece in it too. So
I heard. Yeah.
So,
who do you think the ringleader was?
Hackney, and Kobe.
Yeah.
Gussie wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so. But I mean, he could be. He's too nice is the problem. I mean, maybe he probably didn't want to do it, but he got wound up in the. Or maybe he did. Who knows?
Yeah. Gussie's nice, but he likes to laugh and have a good time.
Yeah.
So he's not going to turn down a good time.
No. Well, dude, it's always a good time when we get to chat. This is hard to believe, but before we did this, I looked. This is the freaking 8th time you've been on this podcast. I think you've done this podcast more cumulatively than you've done all the other podcasts. Don't let them. I don't want that tradition to change, but thank you. And we never ever are short of something to talk about.
I think doing 8, isn't that when you go on salary?
Yeah, I'll send you a gift.
I'll be a guest. I don't want any gifts. No gifts. So
I'll work on something for you. Hey, I appreciate the fact that you actually have a setup. Like Hackney, I did send Hackney a gift because Hackney would come on, and dude, he would selfie the entire podcast. He's just holding his camera, and I'm like, dude, don't you want to go to Dollar General, spend $15 on a phone holder? He never would. And then I sent him one. I spent the $15 and sent it to him. And dude, he contacted me afterwards, and he's like, "Oh, this is great." I'm like, it's not that hard a thing to figure out.
I hope you locked up.
Every Thursday, what time does the brown recliner? Is that what we're
brown recliner? Yeah.
Recliner. My voice stopped working there for a second.
Yeah, probably 5:00.
Okay, 5:00 Central Time. 6 Eastern. Yep. Thursdays. Make sure to check it out. Jason Christie from the Brown Recliner. And you never know what story he's going to tell. Thanks, dude. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
See you soon.
See you.
There you have it, the one and only Jason Christie. And, well, what other show do you tune into to hear stories about giant wacky worms than the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast? Truly living up to its name, because that story was, both awkward and very honest. Thank you, Jason Christie. 8 appearances on this show. Incredible. Thank you for all your time and always being honest. And speaking of being honest, I urge you to check out the Brown Recliner series, kicking off Thursday, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Central Time on Jason Christie's channel. I'll make sure to put a link down below to his channel. I urge you to subscribe and check it out because he always has great content there and works very hard at it. My voice stopped working at the end of that conversation. I don't know why I called it the Brown Recliner, whatever I said. Maybe my voice is ready to kick it into Festivus. kick off the holidays. Maybe. And there is no better way to kick off the holidays than welcome in our next guest. From the Bassmaster Studios in Little Rock, Arkansas, Tommy Sanders. The great and wonderful Tommy Sanders returns to the show. And Tommy, I appreciate you for taking a little time away from, regaling the world, the bass fishing world, with your wonderful voice and kicking everybody's head in fantasy football. I
have been doing that.
Demon this year.
Yes, I've had a great team. Got a lot of wins this year, which just means that's the formula for scoring about 71 points in the final or the semifinal. One of the two. That's what that means. So you enjoy it while you can.
Who was your guy? Why do you think this? Like, is there a couple players you've rode, or is it just?
Jonathan Taylor and Puka Nakua on your team will do it for you. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, having a great kicker. It's the year of the kicker. I had the Seattle kicker. He won a whole game by himself last week.
The
wild. Defense did great. They didn't score a touchdown. They still won. They still lost the game.
It's wild. I went heavy on Jonathan Taylor last year, and it wasn't good. I got gun shy, and story of my life. This close to being good. But festive season, and that's why we have you on here. Well, first of all, what is the holidays like around the Sanders household? What are your holiday
this year,
traditions?
You'll find this interesting, Dave. This year, Christmas is predicted to be 70 degrees here in the state of Arkansas on Christmas Day, which is kind of that's not really what you want. I mean, you guys, it's dependable. It's going to be cold where you live for Christmas, but not here.
Yeah.
But there'll be some traveling. I'll have to go pick up my 97-year-old mom and bring her up to town here from 2 hours away to engage in the festivities. So there'll be a little road travel, and but it'll be fun. Me and Casey will have a big time.
Wow. Sounds like a lot of fun. And I could use a little 70 degrees in my life. We have had snow, and just everything has been frozen. It's like an old school winter. All of December, it feels like what we're used to in late January, February. So Lord knows what late January, February will be. Yeah. I initially was upset that we were starting the Elite Series season so early, but I may be really excited to get the hell out of here by that time.
You'll have to escape. You'll have to escape at some point. I know how you guys think.
Tommy, we have you on the show for a great holiday tradition. I think this is the third or fourth year we're going to do this, and it's one of my favorite moments of the whole year, and that is your reading of The Night Before Christmas.
Okay. Well, this is the original Big Dreams, story of all time here, that's for sure. And it's not, we should point out, and I think I point out this stupid piece of trivia every year. It's not called The Night Before Christmas. It's called A Visit from St. Nicholas. Just so people know. By Clement Clark Moore.
Well, thank you for once again correcting me, Tommy. That seems to be the pattern of our relationship.
Hopefully not. Hopefully that's a breakable pattern. Well, you ready?
I'm waiting with bated breath. Take it away, Tommy Sanders.
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief, and I in my hat, had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn, there arose such a clatter that I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, opened the shutters and threw up the sash. And the moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below. When what do my wondering eyes do appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet an obstacle mount to the sky, so up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof as I drew in my head, ow, and was turning around. Down the chimney, St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled. His dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he had clenched in his teeth, and the smoke had encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a round little belly, and he shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf. And I laughed when I saw him, in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work. He filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, laying the finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him explain ere he drove out of sight, Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Tommy Sanders. Tommy Sanders.
It's the same every year.
No, it's not. It keeps getting better. I mean, the theatrics, the passion that you throw into this project. I mean, maybe next year we need a wardrobe department. I envision you by a fireplace with a cocktail in your hand.
A cocktail, a pipe in the other hand. Yes, a dog sitting on the bearskin rug, something like that. That would be great. Maybe a teleprompter, so I won't be glancing down at my notes the whole time too. That'd be good.
Well, let's not get carried away with the budget. I mean, we could hardly make
I
this
know.
work.
Expecting a big yes. Expecting a big Christmas at the Mercer house, I'm sure.
Yes, yeah, very excited. Everyone is giddy. It's one of my favorite times of the year. I mean, and here's the good news for me. The Chiefs aren't going to ruin it for me. I mean, they already
Fate sort
did.
of ruined it for you already. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
Oh my goodness.
It's okay. Yeah. Here's why this is happening, Tommy. For years, I mean, our good friend Mark Zona, I have told him, because he is not a good friend when it comes to your team doing good and his team not doing good.
Well,
I mean,
that's stress.
And I've told him
stress is the friendship.
Yes, yeah. And I've told him for years, sooner or later, your Bears will be good, and I'm going to teach you how to be a good friend. So I think that's why this is happening, and I hope his Bears do very well. I'm very happy for him because of those Bears, because I don't think he's had a tremendous year in fantasy this year, just between you and I. But I may be wrong. He may have some other leagues where he's just running roughshod over everyone. But the Bears more than make up for all of that, I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure. Tommy Sanders, you are awesome. Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thanks for thinking of me this holiday season, Dave. And Merry Christmas to the Mercers.
Thank you. Okay, maybe I'm biased, but I think that gets better each and every year. I mean, kudos to Tommy Sanders. You are truly a thespian, and I thank you for sharing your talents with us on the show here each and every year. But that being said, I do have an affliction for Tommy Sanders, so I mean, I literally could listen to him read the phone book, and I would find it entertaining. But thank you, Tommy. For our younger viewers wondering what a phone book is, it's a very thick book that they used to leave at the end of your driveway that people would use to look up phone numbers before the Google machine. Another thing that I want to point out is a special shout out to my beautiful and incredible wife, Sarah. I mean, she cuts this show together each and every week, does such a great job. She is truly a saint, way hotter than I deserve. But I said to her when we finished the segment with Tommy, I said, have a little fun, add some bells or maybe a garland or candy cane or something. And what you see is what you saw, and maybe she got a little carried away. But that'll help you understand kind of what our house is like. I mean, literally for the last few weeks, it looks like Christmas puked all over our house. It will take her weeks to take it all down when it's time to take it down. We're selfish and lazy, so none of us will help her, but she is truly a saint, and I thank her. Sarah, you are amazing. Thank you for everything you do with this show, and I look forward to having another wonderful Christmas with you and our incredible family. We got a big week ahead of us. Friday is my birthday, which I'm excited about. Always good to celebrate another year of life on this incredible planet. And then Saturday, we have the big Van Dam wedding, which will be fun. Get together with a lot of great friends and celebrate an incredible wedding and an incredible time of year. And then it's full Festivus for the rest of us. Of course, that's on the 23rd of December. Don't forget about that. A fake holiday created by the Seinfeld show. We always celebrate it. 24th, we got Christmas Eve. 25th, of course, is the big day. The 26th in America is just the day after Christmas, but in Canada, it's actually Boxing Day. I did a little research because I wondered, why is it called Boxing Day? Well, it's because of the European influence on our country, and we celebrate Boxing Day. And really what it means is back in the day, many, many years ago, the lords and ladies would get their gifts and they would throw out the old stuff, but they'd put it in a box and they'd give it to the help. So it's literally National Regifting Day. But we have a big soiree at my house every Boxing Day, and it's something I look forward to. But yeah, it's going to be a great holiday. We'll be back here January 7th. I want to thank all of you for supporting this show. There's a lot of podcasts out there, and there is more added every single minute. But you guys have made this podcast something special. You guys have made this podcast a community. I thank all of you for taking the time to leave comments, for liking, commenting, subscribing, doing all those things it takes to stroke the algorithm. And I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, whatever you celebrate. I hope it is a wonderful, wonderful holiday for you guys. And I thank you for what you have brought into my life. Remember, everybody is fighting a battle out there. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not seen, not happening. Put your arm around some friends. Be kind to people out in the world. Make the world a better place. And guess what? Your world will be a better place too. Until January 7th, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Enjoy being, and as always, Bob Cobb, take it away.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, because Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters told you to. You hear?